Hello, hello. Welcome to the Mother Daze podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Wright Olsen.
And I'm Teresa Palmer.
Hello, guys.
So Sarah hooked us up with our two amazing guests today, and she's going to introduce them. But I am feeling really excited. I jumped on and I was like, girls, you're amazing. I'm already inspired, and we haven't even started recording. So
I know.
It's going to be a good episode.
Thank you to our sponsor, Needed, for powering this week's episode. Use code Mother Daze, DAZE, for 20% off your first month with Needed's premium perinatal supplements. You guys, we feel so honored to have Julie Sawaya and Ryan Woodbury here with us today. They are the co-founders of Needed. You guys have been listening to our show. You know all about Needed. And we're so pumped to get in and chat with them today. The two of them met in business school and found a common love for nutrition, and then sort of figured out that they were both deficient in omega-3. Am I right, guys? Is that true?
Omega-3 plus a lot of others.
Yeah, I was going to say probably like 9 other nutrients. But
That's insane. And so I'm really excited to jump into all this with you guys today and talk about Needed and talk about your journey, because I think that probably one of the trickiest things when you're sort of planning like, oh, I want to have a baby, or, you know, I'm already pregnant, or whatever it is, you're like trying to figure out, now what do I do? I mean, I feel like sometimes we wait a little bit too late and we're like, okay, now what product should I be using? And can I use this like cleaner at home? And, you know, what food should I be eating? And like all of those things. So I love that now we can give our listeners like a full shebang today. So Teresa, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for your amazing product. I actually did what I think so many people have done before me, so I didn't feel so bad about it. But when I was told that I was supposed to have a prenatal before conception, I was like, wait, what? I thought that you just have it when you get pregnant, you pick something. And I remember someone saying, oh, get something food-based. Everything made me feel sick. Everything, all the pills, having to swallow the big pills. I just felt so nauseous that I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to get my nutrition through my food. I'm not going to take this. This is like, no. So I didn't end up having a prenatal with Bodhi. And it wasn't until my last pregnancy that I was telling Sarah about all my dilemmas and how I just hate taking pills. They make me feel sick. You're already so nauseous when you're pregnant, that she was the one that suggested Needed to me. And it was such a game changer. So I just wanted to start by saying thank you so much, because I know I'm not the only person out there who experiences this, especially in those early days of pregnancy where everything makes you feel ill. And the last thing you want to do is take a huge pill and swallow it first thing in the morning. It makes me, even just thinking about it, I've got shivers. So thank you so much. So what I wanted to ask was, obviously most prenatals are designed really just to meet like the bare minimum of your nutritional needs and not to optimally nourish you. So I know that obviously a lot of research and development went into the process of putting together your prenatal vitamins. I just wanted to know a little bit about that process, how it went down. Were you your own guinea pigs, or did you have friends around you who were willing to like put their hand up and say, hey, we're going to help you out with this? I'd love to hear more about just those beginning days.
Well, I'm glad the prenatal multi-powder has been working well for you. Certainly helpful that you were already such a big smoothie drinker with Love Well and the like. That makes it an easy adjustment.
I love it. You can just add it. It's unbelievable. It's so great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, as you guys alluded to, when Julie and I met, both of us were a longtime nutrition enthusiasts, and we're just shocked that prenatals weren't anywhere close to cutting it. They're designed around the RDAs, which is a standard to avoid a disease condition, not support someone optimally. And in many cases, avoiding a disease condition versus really supporting your body through the most nutritionally demanding time of a woman's life is dramatically differently. So I think it started with the question around what would optimal support be? How do you actually get women to be able to thrive? And I think we turned first to the women's health practitioners that we relied on and trusted most. And so there was a group of them that we were able to befriend very early on. And I think really gave us the validation that, nope, you guys are onto something. If you make this, we will buy it. This is what we're doing for our clients right now. They're literally hacking together, 12 products across 6 different brands. And it's not accessible unless you're working directly with one of us. And we see in our practices that outcomes are significantly different if you get optimal nutritional support. And so that all started of hey, there's hundreds of prenatals out there. Another prenatal didn't need to exist, but a radically better perinatal nutritional standard. And the problem is women of this life stage have been terribly understudied. There's a lot of research that makes it clear that better nutritional support leads to better outcomes for both mom and baby. And by better outcomes, we don't mean a breathing baby with 10 fingers and 10 toes. We mean mom thriving postpartum, having energy. We mean the trajectory of a child's cognitive development is on track and they're learning at an accelerated pace, or their immune system develops without, eczema or other related conditions, which aren't currently factored into the status quo. So all of it came to really practitioner-led. It started with, I'd say, a handful of very key practitioners pulling data out of their practices, and they kept introducing us to their friends. We now have about 4,000 practitioners that we work with that are involved in product development, consumer insights in some way or the other, because the research isn't fully there. We need to get it from in clinical practice. And there was a whole host of trial and error. My husband always complains about a whole host of formulas that made him throw up because he was always the guinea pig and never took it with food.
Oh my God.
So many flights that Ryan and I were on with unmarked white bags of powder.
People
drawing some TSA questions.
Yeah, but it was about 3.5 years where we were in this rigorous R&D phase, trying different formulas, vetting the data, because I think we knew something much, much better had to exist, but we were also pushing things radically versus what had been packaged together in a single product, and needed to make sure there was enough practitioners across different disciplines validating that, yes, I feel good about this. There's no harm. This is going to help my patient. So that was a 3.5-year effort that basically led to our complete plan, which is basically prenatals as they currently exist weren't cutting it. We redesigned the prenatal from the ground up, relooking at ingredient forms and dosing. But vitamins and minerals alone isn't enough to support you at this life stage. We had to pair it with an omega-3 fatty acid, a pregnancy-specific pre and probiotic, because the maternal microbiome is so critical to mom's health during pregnancy and seeding baby's gut for the rest of their lives. And then a collagen protein, because protein needs at this life stage are significantly elevated and very few women are getting them.
So if you listen to our show, you know that Sarah and I are baby obsessed. We keep trying to convince the old hubbaroons to have more babies with us, which hopefully they will. But I wanted to share this crazy story because, look, I've been wanting to have kids since I was a teenager, really. But when I was really seriously thinking about it, I went to my doctor. I was probably 26, 27. And he was like, okay, so how long have you been having prenatals? And I don't know if this was anyone else's experience, but I was like, wait, what? Don't you just take that when you get pregnant? And he was like, no, the recommendation is that you're supposed to take prenatal supplements 3 to 4 months before even wanting to conceive. So that really threw me for a loop. And I think, you know, there's that added pressure of just knowing that pregnancy and postpartum are some of the most nutritionally demanding times in a woman's life. And of course, we know that our baby's health now and for years to come, it's really truly influenced by our nutrient status. So then I was like, okay, where do I go? Like, what do I do?
And there's so many prenatals out there. But if you're anything like me, I get so nauseous when taking a pill. In my first couple of pregnancies, I would get so sick. And so in my last pregnancy, my friend was like, oh, I use this brand called Needed, and they have a Prenatal Multi. It's for before, during, and after. And it's a vanilla powder. So you can put it on your food, you can drink it, you can use it before, during, and after pregnancy. And it's all the nutrients that you need, which is just so fantastic.
And no nausea. I can tell you guys, no nausea. Yeah, it was amazing. I had it with Prairie and it was such a game changer. I remember feeling so afraid in the mornings. Like I'd eat my breakfast and I'd have this huge pill and I was like, oh, here it comes. I'm going to get sick for the next few hours.
Get stuck in my throat.
Yeah, I know.
And Needed was actually designed by women's health experts that test nutrient levels based on the latest research and in-practice insights from thousands of women. And it's the #1 nutrition brand recommended and used by more than 4,000 women health experts, midwives, doctors, functional medicine doctors, OBGYNs. When I found that out, I was completely blown away. But this is something that so many of my friends have been talking about lately.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. And we love that Needed also offers a premium supplement for every single stage of motherhood. So from egg quality support for women trying to conceive, shout out to Sarah, woo woo, to a lactation support plan for breastfeeding mums like me who hasn't stopped breastfeeding since 2014.
There's just so much on the journey to motherhood that we can't control, but nutrition is a big one that we actually can control.
Yeah, guys. And now you can join us on the Needed journey. Head over to thisisneeded.com and use code Mother Daze, that's Mother Daze with a Z, for 20% off your first month of Needed products.
Kind of playing off of what Teresa said about I'm going to get what I need from food alone. And just, that was what Ryan and I sought out to do, is like meet all of your needs through food, and realize that that's just not possible because of soil quality and toxins in the environment. I think sometimes that can be helpful for people to understand that there's a reason food isn't cutting it. And like, we tend to be very naturally minded people, like back to the roots with birth and so many of those other things. But there's elements where our environment has changed so much more rapidly than human health can keep up with. And that's really why supplements are needed.
Absolutely. When Teresa and I were writing our book, this was something that we were like really trying to study. It's like, what is it that you need and how can we help people, support people when they're trying to figure out this beginning stage of motherhood, right? And it's, one of the things that kept coming up for us was vitamin D. And vitamin D is so important for immunity. And I think we've learned, the more you probably saw a lot of stuff about that over the last couple of years with COVID and everything. Everybody was like, take vitamin D and take this and take that. But, I don't feel like supplements were something that we really understood as much unless you're working in that field or studying that field. It's like you kind of feel like, all right, I'm going to eat some protein and I'm going to have some greens and I'll probably get it. But I love that you talked about the nutrients and minerals and stuff in the soil and how it's just different. What I love, though, is this is so accessible to anybody, any woman, any stage of life, because you guys have collagen, immune support. There's something for the whole family with your brand. So you obviously started with prenatals, but you guys branched and grew this company into different stages. So can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, I think the core focus for Ryan and I from day one, we've been really, really laser focused on meeting a woman's needs in this life stage better than anyone else, because so often a prenatal vitamin, that's how we ended up in the state that we're in now, where 97% of women in this life stage take a prenatal, but 95% have nutrient deficiencies, because prenatal vitamins are typically an afterthought. It's like one product in a lineup of hundreds of other things that a company offers. And we saw through our practitioner collective and through just studying the market that there's such a gap in the market for products that fully meet a woman's needs. And we're really committed to nailing those needs for a woman better than any other company. We tend to take the view that women are the health influencer, you could call them the chief medical officer of the family. And that in order to truly meet a woman's needs in the perinatal stage, you need to capture the needs of her partner. So when they're trying to conceive together, fertility is a two-way street. It's not just about the egg. It's really about both partners being optimally nourished. So we have a line of products for male fertility. And then so many of us, Ryan and I are in this boat as well. We're in the perinatal stage. You may be breastfeeding, but you have a toddler, or you're pregnant and you have older kids and they're starting school. And immune support is something that the entire family needs. And the health of one of us is dependent on the health of all of us. And so we really try to think about designing around designing. I think we tend to view ourselves as like, first and foremost, a women's nutrition company, but nutrition through the lens of women's health extends into products for the rest of the family. And I think that's where you'll see the needed product line go in the years ahead.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, I feel like last year we were sick every month. We had some new virus and it was like we hadn't gotten COVID yet, but then we got everything else that existed and it was so bad. But yeah, I appreciate that so much because I think for me, like, you know, the most challenging time with my first pregnancy was in that postpartum stage. So, you know, I did have deficiencies throughout my pregnancy because I was getting blood work done and I was working with like a doctor and a midwife. And so, you know, my doctor was like, oh, you're fine. Your blood work's great. My midwife looked at my blood work and was like, your iron is so low. Like, you're not fine. Like, this is not. And there was just such a different way of looking at it. Like they saw, okay, you're meeting like the minimum of whatever it is that you need to meet for iron during pregnancy. And the midwife is like, but no, we need to supplement because it needs to be stronger because of A, B, C, and D. And so I remember thinking like, oh, that's so weird. Like it's the same blood work, two different people looking at it. And so I had to, it wasn't just my prenatal vitamin. I was on like 5 different supplements at that time. But in my postpartum stage, I felt so depleted. And I felt like very quickly I was really tired and you could tell like I wasn't nourished enough and I wasn't sticking with a prenatal vitamin in postpartum. I didn't know enough about it. So that is something that I learned later on. And it's amazing how different you feel when you're actually getting what you need. And it's between like your milk supply, the look of your milk, like how thick your milk is and just like everything, right? And like your sleep, all the things. So anyway, I really appreciate what you're saying about, hitting it at every single stage, and even like immune support for the family. So you guys are both moms. When you met in business school, you guys went to Stanford, right? I think I was probably working at like a kiosk at the mall when you guys were like in business school. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe we should have done something like that. No. So you guys met in business school and then you guys, were you mothers at that point? Were you guys thinking about starting a family, or was this just like, oh, this is really important, and then, started working together?
Yeah, we weren't mothers yet. I was married and Julie was engaged when we met, and we both wanted to be mothers. We had a lot of close friends. I think in our business school class, we were very much in the married friend group. And a lot of our peers were there in terms of starting their perinatal journeys. And I think we were really always wanting to be moms, but we were exposed for the first time to really close friends going through fertility, pregnancy, and postpartum challenges. And just talking to them about their experience, I think we were just like floored by how little nutritional support they were getting. And it kind of just like shocked us that, wow, it is not anywhere part of the standard of care. And this is a big problem we were both, I think had worked in finance before going to business school, but both had long time interest in nutrition and actually had done trainings on the side to actually both become nutritionists. So we had enough just like academic nutritional knowledge to know things could be a lot better. So I think it really came out of that like frustration for our friends and as optimizers in our own way, knowing that, hey, like, I don't want to be pregnant tomorrow, but in the next couple of years, like I want to be prepared and make it as, you know, wonderful an experience as possible, because I don't think the status quo of feeling terrible the whole time is how it has to be.
I think that's right. And I think it probably was particularly top of mind for us in that like preconception, several years long period, because, you know, we were not having babies in our 20s. We knew we wanted families, but we also wanted careers. And that's true for so many women that, you know, fertility is being extended well into our 30s and 40s. And so much of it is about your underlying health. There are some, you know, kind of like inevitabilities of age being a factor in, you know, egg quality and sperm quality, but it doesn't have to be this like doom and gloom, you're pregnant after 35, or, oh my gosh, like it's going to be impossible to get or to stay pregnant after that age. A lot of it has to do with the underlying chromosomal health of your egg and your sperm, and how healthy is your body as a woman who's going to become pregnant at these stages. And nutrition has the ability to impact all of those things. So I think we really came at it from the perspective of how do we help women be as prepared as they possibly can be. And I think through becoming mothers on this journey of building needed, we've now seen for ourselves firsthand that there's just so much in this journey of becoming a parent that you can't control. You know, I experienced a pregnancy loss in between my first and third pregnancies. Both of us have experienced challenges with like sleep and with, you know, whether it's breastfeeding, or there's just always something to this journey. It's not like butterflies and rainbows for everyone. But when we say optimal and we say helping you to feel your best, what we mean is be as possibly prepared as you can be, so that when you inevitably face some of the challenges that are definitely going to come up, you are as optimally well as possible, so that you can deal with it, you can get through it, you can navigate it. And so that on the other end of this, you and your baby have the best health possible.
Yeah, it's so funny. Listening to you say that, I'm like picturing myself in my brain of, you know, in that postpartum period, like scarfing the lasagna that I had frozen in my freezer and like, you know, running back into the bedroom to, you know, feed my newborn. And just, it's so hard to get what you need in postpartum, especially if you don't have support. Like we don't have family out here. And we first started having babies. It's not like we had help. You know, my husband was working and we were just trying to like, okay, we're starting our family, we're figuring it out. We didn't know necessarily what we needed. But I think a lot of times it's the depletion that you feel, it kind of bleeds over into everything, because then you're like, okay, well, I can't be 100% for the baby and I'm not able to like really do anything extra for myself. And, you know, you really like need that support. And I did find, you know, in my other pregnancies, when I was more supported, you know, with nutrition and like I understood everything more and I'd done more research and all of that, then it was like, okay, yeah, I did feel great in postpartum. Like, of course, there's times when you feel tired, but I didn't feel like, you know, dead to the world like I did the first time around. So yeah, that's it. Love hearing that.
It can be dramatic, but the awareness isn't there, because it's, you know, I think standard care providers for most women aren't talking about it. And that's a big portion of, I think, what we're trying to do, and through the community of practitioners and consumers we've brought together, is really, you know, advocate that, hey, there can be a different way that you feel and the tools aren't out of reach.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And on that point of education, I think it's women aren't told that a prenatal vitamin is for them. You know, you're told like start taking your prenatal once you're pregnant, or maybe a couple of months before, just in case you are unexpectedly pregnant. But nobody is really educating women on how those nutrients support their well-being, how they feel, how you're going to be postpartum. And our bodies are so smart at prioritizing baby's well-being to the extent that your body will literally take calcium from your bones, from your teeth, omega-3 from your brain. If you're not getting enough through your diet, it will literally pull from your reserves to give to baby to ensure that baby is okay. And if you're a breastfeeding mother while you're pregnant, which I think you've probably been, Sarah, and I have been as well, like your body, the order of operations is baby in utero, baby at the breast, and then you.
Yes.
You're a total afterthought in that evolutionary system. It's a really smart system to ensure that baby survives. But we really care about making sure women understand that this is for you. You deserve to feel well. This product is for you. And I think what we've seen again and again, and it's reinforced from practitioners, is that when women understand that this is a product for them, they're so much more likely to stick with it postpartum because it's not just for that baby.
That's right.
It's not just while you're breastfeeding. It's really for ensuring your health and well-being is optimal for all the years that come after that. And for many of us, like perimenopause isn't going to be that far away. You are preparing for that stage while you're postpartum. Your hormone balance, your thyroid health, your iron reserves, et cetera, all you have the ability to influence all of that in this, what we call the perinatal stage. But it's really like a 5 to 10 year span of a woman's life, or even longer if if your family planning and family building journey extends beyond that.
I've been breastfeeding straight since February 14th, 2000. Actually, that's wrong. That's Valentine's Day. So I've been breastfeeding straight since February 17th, 2014.
Oh my gosh, that's the day after Ryan's daughter's birthday.
Born on the 16th.
What?
Yeah,
Get
not 10 years ago, but yeah.
It's a good February. It's a good month.
It's such a good month. I know. I was born the 26th, and he was actually due on my birthday, and I was really excited. I was like, "Oh, we're going to be birthday buddies." But anyway, he came early. So I've been breastfeeding nonstop, and often breastfeeding through pregnancy, and then into tandem breastfeeding, and then it's been just a journey. And I would say, and this is a reflection that my husband always has for me, is that so many of us as mums put ourselves on the bottom of the priority list in terms of just self-care. And I definitely have felt really, really depleted over the years. I know you guys have like specific formulations to really help boost mothers who are nursing as well. Could you just talk a little bit more about that? I feel like I needed this 10 years ago. I can't believe it took me so long to discover it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we think of our core kind of complete plan. So that multivitamin, omega-3, prenatal or pre-pro probiotic, and then collagen as sort of your base for every single stage, like preconception through postpartum, and you can even continue well into your motherhood years. And that should give you your baseline nutritional support, protein support, and microbiome support. And then we have various add-ons that we suggest depending on your life stage. Like for breastfeeding, for example, you want extra vitamin D than what's in our Prenatal Multi because you want to keep up the vitamin D levels in your breast milk. And I think so we have a vitamin D topper specifically designed for postpartum that some people might need during pregnancy, but not everyone. So we wanted to keep the base formula supportive for all, and then have other products like a hydration support because, your ability to hydrate matters so much for milk supply, and the list goes on.
It's also delicious.
It really is. I have probably 4 of them a day currently breastfeeding.
Yeah, definitely pushing what's the max, magnesium content you can have in a day between our hydration support, sleep support, and multivitamins.
Not necessarily a global recommendation. That's just what I'm doing. But it feels though like it's like the bare minimum that I feel like I need to hydrate myself. And now that we have our immune support too, I usually switch back and forth between them throughout the day. So try to keep my overall intake of the 2 in balance, but they taste really good. And in like a big, huge water bottle like this, it's just so easy to go through a lot of them.
And the kiddos love them too. My daughter asks for pink Wawa every day, which is...
it's so cute. You've made it so streamlined for busy mums, because I feel like that's always my problem is that I'm always on the go. So I love the idea that you have like the baseline and then you have add-ins depending on, like, you curate it for what the woman's needs are. It's really, it's really well done.
One of my favorite of the postpartum supplements is our stress support. That is really, it's designed for every stage other than pregnancy. So you can take it preconception. That time period can be stressful for a lot of people. Postpartum, and then well into the mothering years. And Ryan and team designed it. Ryan heads up our product R&D side of the business. And it's just such a smart formula. What the benefits that I see in it is like stress response, but also adrenal support, especially, you know, I'm still several years behind you in the continuous pregnancy and nursing, but I've hit my 4-year mark this month of like continuous pregnancy or nursing for 4 years. It's a lot.
That's amazing.
It is.
And, you know, my thyroid and my hormones could definitely benefit from added support. So that's a product that I think Ryan and I we try not to miss a day of, because it really does make a difference.
I'm pregnant right now, but I'd say before pregnancy,
congratulations.
Thank you. That it was the product I would grab. I'm like, okay, I don't have time, but I'm going to take the 4 capsules of stress support and nothing else. You would notice on the days that you don't.
I wanted to pivot for a second and ask you guys, how do you find that elusive work-life balance? Because you're obviously such successful mompreneurs. You're like killing it in the game. You're absolutely doing so well with your business, but then you're also present and you're with your children. And I think we get a lot of people asking us about, how do you start a business? How can we find more flexibility so that we can be with our families? And I wanted to just throw that out to you guys. How have you managed to find that balance? And what's your advice for anyone who is looking to start up their own business?
We joke a lot that we're grateful that we did start the business before we had kids. This isn't like supposed to be a deterrent to anyone. We'll get into some more like positive anecdotes, but we are glad that we had a number of years of just like full focus on Needed being our only baby before the children, because it's hard. It's really hard.
It's really hard. I was going to say, I think the probably the biggest kind of like quiver or arrow in our quiver, whatever that saying is like that we're doing this together. Yeah. That, you know, I wouldn't say we've had lengthy maternity leaves, but like I wouldn't have had a maternity leave at all with either of my 2 babies had Ryan not been my co-founder, and there been a way for us to help one another out in that regard. For many, many years, for over 4 years, it was just the 2 of us. We were the only full-time employees of Needed. And we've only recently built, as the company's grown, built out a really awesome team. So I think we now have more support so that, you know, it's not just us in it, us against the world, which was, you know, I think we think very fondly on those times, but it's great as we're, you know, building the reach of Needed and able to serve so many more women that we have the support on our team.
I think it also makes it a lot easier because basically we know the impact that we're making. Like we see it on ourselves, we see it on our friends, you see it from customers writing in, that it makes it much easier when you're like, I don't know, at a late night work dinner and you miss bedtime, when you know that that was, you know, cinching some deal to get a new product to come to market to be able to help that many more women that are like, it's very fluid between our personal life and
so
the work
fulfilling
life.
I think that's right. Like, you know, the bar is high for leaving, you know, that precious time with your kids. And thankfully we both are able to work from home too, which makes it a lot easier for feeding when they're little. But I think we both just feel really lucky that there's nothing in the world we'd rather be doing. And we feel like we're solving such a massive problem that it's energizing, even though it's, you know, no week feels like, oh yeah, this is perfectly in balance. Some weeks I feel like
week.
I'm doing a lot with back to school to like be involved with my daughter's school. And then other weeks I feel like, you know, I really, really need my weekends so that I can spend time with the kids. I think it's just this constant back and forth.
A lot of gratitude for the other people in your life that, like, you know, I was mentioning at the beginning of the call, like you know, I'm always very thankful for our nanny, but then her being out with COVID the last 2 weeks, you like really realize how much she makes life work.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I loved what you said. And I'm so glad that you said the thing about how you're sort of kind of always trying to figure out that balance, because I think it's really hard to have a balanced life when you're working and you're a parent. And like, if you are constantly feeling like you have to catch up, like you're not going to feel like you ever solidly achieved anything. Like I can't be 100% as a parent or as at work or like helping out as a school volunteer or like whatever it is. It's like being able to go like, I'm okay for you guys, like you're working from home. Teresa and I, we work from home a lot too. I mean, we work out of the home as well, but we're able to be with our kids a lot, which we're so grateful for. But I think it's nice to hear from the amazing work that you guys are doing and like how massive need it is and, you know, how much we appreciate it. It's also great to hear that you guys are moms who are nursing, who are working together. I think that community is so important. Like having the community at home, having your friendships, but also if you're looking to start a business, anybody out there, I think it's so awesome to do it with somebody that you really look up to or feel inspired by as a friend, as, you know, whatever that is, because it's such a key, and it's obviously been such a key for you too, but being able to have that person to go, hey, I need to punt this your way today. Like, you know, and then they're punting back to you or like, hey, you know, my kid is sick, like, no problem. I got this meeting, like, it's no big deal. That just feels so good. You feel held, and yet you're like doing this good work together. And anyway, it's just, that's to me so inspiring. Hearing you guys talk about that, too. That's an inspiration.
It's like, I mean, I think we've joked, but it's sort of like, it's like picking your life partner in a lot of ways. Like, you know, it's only as good as the partner is and the partnership, and something you definitely, you know, we invest a lot of energy and effort into ensuring that, you know, we are friends. We became friends really like at the same time as we started talking about the ideas that underpin Needed, and making sure that we nurture both aspects of like, we're co-founders, we run the business together, but we're also friends, and like we live super close together, and our kids are friends. And I think that's like, it's the best thing. And also it takes intention too. And feel really lucky that we picked a good one. At least I feel that way about Ryan.
Oh, you know, it's mutual.
So what's the future for Needed? Like, what do you have? Do you have some things that you're excited to develop, or we'd love to hear?
Yeah. I mean, I think we have a lot coming down the pipe. I think one of the biggest motivating factors that we're working on, and Julie will add more, but we're launching a clinical study next month. And it's not just like a rudimentary clinical study of our product, you know, improves your vitamin D levels by X percentage if you take it for 3 months, but it's really trying to validate that the status quo around perinatal nutrition in the US is broken. We think that like it is so clear in the research and in the clinical practice that nutrition changes outcomes for women and their children, but it's currently being ignored by decision makers and not told in a way that's easy for a consumer to pick up. And a lot of the, I think, rallying cry of the next phase of Needed, it's not just selling our products, but it's advocating that a better standard has to exist. Mm-hmm. And we want to pull together enough data such that the importance of nutrition cannot be ignored anymore. So we're excited to launch this first clinical. It'll be the first of many. But I think that's where we're hoping to use sort of, you know, any excess kind of cash or margin in the business too.
I think that's the big one. It's like advocating, and I think we think of it as like the research piece, the advocacy piece of like all of the practitioners that we work with, partners like you both, like who can help amplify that message. ultimately, like that's really what motivates Ryan and I, why we started the company. It's like the products are just one, it's a critically important component of the picture, but championing nutrition and empowering women that like, this is one of the most consequential decisions. I think we would arguably say like prioritizing your nutrition is as important as choosing who your care provider is going to be during pregnancy. It has that big of an impact on outcomes. Just like, you know, choosing your OB or choosing
nutrition, like you can kind of ignore who your care provider is because your body's gonna like knows what to do, you know?
Yeah.
It's just vitally important and it needs to not be an afterthought. And so I think that's really in this year ahead what we're most excited to prioritize.
Yeah. And I think it's empowering women to, I think we need to understand that, and we wrote about this in our book, you just can't pour from an empty cup. And as you know, as busy mamas, there's just so much on the to-do list and we're constantly running around. And I think that I've used that as an excuse over the years because Mark's like, why don't you just focus on like being your healthier self? And I was like, I'm too busy. I've got too much going on. I'm like, I want to make sure I always make sure the kids are healthy and that their nutrition is optimal. But myself, I'm always the last one to look at. But then I do notice like such a difference in my energy when I'm not like taking my supplements, when I'm not like drinking my Love Well, when I'm not doing like all my things fall away. I'm the first person to like I let my needs fall to the wayside so that I can show up for the kids. But it doesn't have to be that. I think that narrative can change. And it's something that I've really tried to shift focus towards. And I know a lot of our readers, a lot of our listeners say the same thing. It's just you get so busy.
Like sort of reminding you that like, hey, even though you're doing your best to show up for your kids, like if your nervous system's like totally out of whack, even if the intention's there, you're not showing up with them how you could have been if you slept in that extra hour so you were like ready to go, you know, actually be there for 20 minutes versus 2 hours underslept, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah. I think it's just, I love that. It just is easier. You know, I think even the lens of like, okay, I'm going to get my health in order because I'm in the preconception period. Like there's something that I think we as women don't own about prioritizing ourselves. Like it's just so much easier to do that if you're like, oh, well, I'm going to be pregnant again, or I'm pregnant, so I need to take care of myself, or I'm breastfeeding, so I need to make sure, you know, especially in the early months when the baby is solely reliant on you for nutrition. But how can we change that narrative so that women understand that you deserve better nutrition, you deserve to be taken care of, and it's something you should be demanding too, you know, of your care provider, of society, of the companies that you're supporting, that this isn't a luxury. It's not a like discretionary choice. It's fundamental because we're not getting it through our food. And we really are the center of our household, the center of our families. I think it's such a powerful thing that we're really excited to like show women in their power and help paint that vision of like, this is not it's far from the trajectory we're currently on, but it's not a far off future to think of like, how much better could the world be with more empowered, more nourished women? I think that's like fundamentally what really, really excites Ryan and me.
I have to say, I was at transition for my daughter's school. She's just started preschool. She's 3. And I'm sitting there with a group of women and we're all waiting to see which kid's going to come out crying, right? And so it's like the main thing is we're just supposed to sit and wait. And if the kids are fine, they're fine. But, you know, we wait for like 2 hours for a couple of days. And I'm sitting there with a woman who's pregnant, someone who's nursing a 2-week-old baby, you know, me who's thinking, am I going to have a 4th kid? And then there's like a couple other women who like, I have a toddler at home, I have a 6-month-old. We're all at different stages, but definitely in motherhood and postpartum, right? And the woman who's pregnant and she has a toddler, so her kids are really close together in age, but she asked a question. She was like, you know, I don't remember the last time I did something for myself. Like, do you guys do that ever? Like, do you ever prioritize you and like do something for yourself? And so we were all sort of sitting around thinking about it. No one was really saying anything. And then I was like, you know what? This year is the first time that I've like made a switch and said, yeah, every morning I'm going to get up and I'm going to do something for myself. And I have to say, it was such a big shift in like nutrition, the way that I'm eating, how I'm moving my body, my gratitude, like whatever it is. It's so important. And as we were also, and it wasn't like a thing where I'm like, oh, I'm bragging, right? Like it felt a little silly to be like, yes, but I was like, yes, and you can too. You know,
it's
like
showing them that it's possible.
It's possible. And it's exciting because when you see a difference from doing that and saying like, yeah, I'm going to take care of me. It's going to take 20 minutes in the morning, but I'm going to set my alarm. I'm going to get up and I'm going to take care of myself. And it's amazing. But also just to think about, look at what it shows your kids. Hey, first thing in the morning, mom gets up, she's doing something for herself. It's healthy. It feels good for her. And when I say healthy, it's like, it's healthy mentally, physically, all the things, right? And
exactly.
And it's like, you know, so anyway, I just have to put that out there because it's something on everybody's mind. And sitting in this group of women, and there was like, you know, 8 of us or something sitting there, and we're all like going in our brains going, do I do anything for myself? And yeah, for the first time, I'm like almost 40. And I don't remember like before having kids, like, yeah, of course you do stuff for yourself constantly. But then like once you have children, it's just, that's not the priority. So anyway, I just love what you guys are doing. So appreciate you.
Too.
And thank you for coming on our show. And thank you so much for just like advocating, empowering, inspiring women through your work. Like what you guys are doing are changing people's lives. That's awesome. And I love propping that up and just, you know, and listening to you guys tell the story. So thank you.
Thank you.
So inspiring,
you,
guys.
We
Well
love
done.
everything you guys do.
Well
We're
done.
such big fans.
I forgot to tell you guys, Ryan gave me, we've followed your work for many, many years, but Ryan gave me your book right before my first daughter was due.
Oh, no way.
So I was she was late too. She was like born at 41 and 6 or so. So I probably read it like 3 times cover to cover. Yeah. Between going on mat leave and her birth. But,
oh my God.
But likewise, I think we feel really, really aligned with the work that you all are doing, and pleased to be partnering together.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, you guys. Yeah, it felt like such an organic alignment. And you've been working with so many amazing women that Sarah and I look up to. And like the more I'm hearing them talk about it, I'm like, oh, this is a movement. You've created a movement.
Yeah.
And this is so special. So well done. You can like just feel so good about the work that you do. I think it's so meaningful.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Daisies, for listening today. You have been listening to the Mother Daze podcast. Oh my gosh, Julie, your dog behind you is so freaking cute.
I saw her face pop
He
out.
wanted a little cameo. The first baby.
What's his name?
Oh my God.
His name's Ollie.
Oh, Ollie, you are delicious.
Yeah, I saw this little face pop out like from behind your shoulder.
Okay, sorry. I had to say that because I'm like, if anybody's looking at Julie's screen going, who is that cutie?
He's like, someone's talking to me.
Oh my gosh, look at him.
He's the first and somewhat forgotten child.
Oh,
So
no.
he will take all the attention he can get.
Right? He's so cute. On display.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you guys have been listening to the Mother Daze podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and check out Needed at thisisneeded.com and use our code.
Ollie says 2 thumbs up to them.
Yeah.
And you guys can use our code Mother Daze for a discount. So bye, guys. Bye, Daisies.
Bye.